I'm Zen, and basically I've been doing 7+ years of marketing and online education with very much a lot of thought leaders that I looked up to, right? So from Vishen Lakhiani of Mindvalley to Lisa Nichols to pretty much like a lot of the people I love and care about. I have the privilege of working with them, scaling their impact, scaling their reach, also coaching CEOs and executives on how to build better organizations, more effective businesses. I also do executive coaching on the side as well, that as one of my offers. And so, yeah.
I mean, it definitely sounds like you went through a long journey. You've actually done a lot with a lot of great people. And I'm also wondering, how was life like before you joined the coaching program, before working with?
That's a very good question, right? So I'll be real here. The thing is, because with my years of exposure to the education space, right, I have seen quite a number of fitness protocols and health coaches, and they have their own methodologies, and I have tried some of them. However, before officially working with you, Preston, I tried to figure out myself. I joined programs and do it on my own, and none of that was sustainable in terms of the results I get. And I really didn't have a lifestyle that advocated physical health. Like going to the gym, I may get some results for the short term. However, it always felt like a drag. It felt like it's a chore. Like, okay, I'm doing this for this, right? It's like a end result, purely end result driven, non-habitual thing. And so it always required willpower, always required like extra, almost felt like a sacrifice of other things in the hopes of better physical health, right? So that was before I worked with you, and therefore sustainable results was harder to get. And I also had a fear of barbells, right? So the thing is, we all know that barbells is a part of a good workout routine. At least at the time, that was my belief. And I always just was afraid of the idea that I'll either get crushed under it or I couldn't handle it. So it was a massive limiting belief in my fitness journey, right? And so one of the reasons I reach out to you is because, you are someone who's very trustworthy. You have been through a lot of challenges in your journey as well. Like for those who don't know, right, Preston actually had a shoulder injury. And with a shoulder injury, you can't really do a lot of workouts. Also, most people think, but he went through, he still figured out a way to build up his physique again and to build up his physical health. And someone who went through that is someone who understands adversity and someone who knows methodologies that actually work. So it got me to realize, I really want to work with someone who gets it, someone who has proven results, right? And I decided to finally engage with Preston.
Amazing, man. And of course, it has been an awesome journey working together with you to help you to not be crushed under the barbell, but to crush your limiting beliefs, right? And to really get you the kind of results that you actually were looking for. And I think it's also fair to say, doing all the different consulting work, building your business as well. I think many of us who's watching this can totally relate when you feel that working out, taking care of yourself is like a chore, right? With that being said, in the many years that where you were jumping programs, apart from it being not sustainable, how did it affect you?
I mean, yeah, that's a great question, right? Like, first of all, it definitely felt defeating. Like, hey, what's wrong with me? So that was the first thing, was feeling like, I feel like I'm the problem. And at the same time, these programs were not able to address that problem. They didn't have the right knowledge or setup that allows me to go through that, because any method could be good on its own, but if you can't consistently do it or really like integrate it into your lifestyle, it would just be like a small blip in your story of life and then it disappears, right? So for me, it felt a bit defeating. It also felt like, from an energy standpoint, I would have like highs and lows. And so it wasn't a good feeling.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about your situation back then, joining so many different programs, trying this and that? How do you feel about your struggles before you actually started working together with me?
It was frustrating, honestly.
Frustrating.
It was frustrating. Yeah. It was like getting to the point where there's only so much you can go through before you realize you really need something. You really want a solution, right? So at the time, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I really want a solution, and I really want someone who understands my circumstances and being able to offer a genuine, I would say beyond advice, but genuine direction to achieve my goals. And that's why I thought of you, because you understand. I would say also, like, on a certain level, when it comes to the limiting belief of our ethnicity, right? So I don't mean to bring this in, but like, I'm half Chinese and so I'm Asian, right? And so I'm like, okay, like I see all these like Caucasians that they're doing it, but can Asians actually do it? Like this whole stereotype of the skinny Asian, right? As we know. And then you see Preston here, who's like freaking hot and sustainably so, right? And I'm like, this guy has done it, and then this guy's proven it, right? So I also want to learn from someone who's like that. So at the end of the day, sometimes you got to lean into whoever can break those limiting beliefs. And for me, I'm glad that I work with you because you're able to break all of them. And I can't wait to share, by the way, like how life is right now. Because like again, the gym is no longer a chore. So that's really a big breakthrough for me.
Love it. I think maybe we can also dive into that right now since we are talking
Yeah.
about it, right? So what do you learn in the coaching process together with me? How do you feel about it?
Yeah. So I think right off the first session with you, I already knew that was worth it because you asked a lot of questions that no one ever asked me about my health, about my physical body, about what my physical body can do, right? So for those who don't know, I actually came to Preston with certain proposals of like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, right? I read that this is great. And then Preston was like, hey, stop for a second. Let's get a reality check of where you are. And all of a sudden, I learned a lot about my body that I just never knew, like my limitations, my tendencies, like how my posture is. And then from there, answering the question of what exactly are the right exercises for me. So, just him knowing to ask the right questions already showed me that he knows his stuff. So that was really awesome. So obviously learning about the nuances of the exercises that are right for me. So Preston really goes into details of what to look out for when you exercise, when you move your body with machines or weights or cables, regardless. He always go the extra mile to try to get you to understand what exactly should your body look like. And a cool thing about Preston is I love his metaphors, man. Like whenever I struggle with understanding the technical explanation, he then moves into like more visual metaphorical explanations. So even to this day, when I'm doing like a seated row, if you guys don't know what that is you're sitting down and you're pulling a weight towards you, right? I can visualize the upper back and my lats pulling because Preston explained it greater visual for me. And it makes life so much easier at the gym because sometimes when you're moving, right, you don't really know if you're moving the right body parts in order to have the maximum amount of results. And Preston goes above and beyond to make sure you get it. So I really love that. And that's something sustainable and fun too. Another thing is Preston, he really taught me that going to the gym can be something enjoyable, right? So rather than focusing on purely the results, he also taught me to focus on the lifestyle, right? So how to build a sustainable lifestyle around your physical health, around working out, around exercising, so that it is something that it's like brushing your teeth. If you don't brush your teeth, you don't feel right, and for good reason. And in this case, if I don't exercise, my body like is worse. Now I know how it's like to exercise consistently. It feels great. Like you sit better, your body feels more aligned, you feel more in flow. And all this Preston has taught me to love. And when it comes to eating as well, right? Like I'm sure all of you heard of the phrase, like for physical health, working out is 40% and then 60% is like eating or something like that. But I'm sure a lot of you always think that you have to sacrifice, right? You have to sacrifice in the process of having a good diet. And working with Preston made me realize that it doesn't have to be the case. I can still eat certain foods I love, and I can let go of certain foods that actually don't serve me, right? And he lets me decide, right? Like if I have to eat a pizza, just be mindful of the macro portion, right? And I get to decide. The power is in me, right? The power is in me. The power is in you who decides to work with Preston. He doesn't take over your power. So you get to decide the kind of life you want to live. He helps you along the way. And so nowadays, I don't eat certain foods that I used to eat, and I don't miss it. I actually don't miss it. I'm very happy not eating them. And certain foods I used to eat, like I have carbs, my friends. I eat carbs in my diet. I just eat it responsibly for a lifestyle that I want. So always ask yourself, you want a lifestyle, you want a certain way of life, but are you willing to live that way? Are you willing to be the person that deserves that life, right? So Mark Manson has a great quote. It's like, I don't think it's Mark Manson actually, but whatever. I heard it from somewhere and my mentor, and I love it, which is life is always full of quote unquote problems. The question you ask yourself is what problems are worth paying for to get the life you want? And so I just feel great now eating the way I do and seeing the results I do as well. Like in 2 months working with Preston, my God, like he has built me working out, with taking pictures, and the results are just mind blowing for 2 months of consistent strategic right action.
Awesome to hear that, man. And of course, I'm so proud that not only in terms of your visual progress, but also shattering your limiting beliefs, helping you to create this new lifestyle that's sustainable, that's effective, to really help you to do more of what you love outside of the gym. I think right now as well, you have more energy, you have more motivation, you have more
Yes.
consistency overall, right? And
Yeah.
I'm just wondering as well, what would life be if you didn't decide to take action?
Ooh. And I'll just be stuck, man. I'll just be in the same cycle of listening to the advice that don't apply to me, trying out different things, maybe like dabbling, and then all of a sudden also be like, hey, I'm still stuck where I am. So, sometimes we just got to ask ourselves if we ever hesitate with committing to working with someone who really knows their craft. And on top of that, right, are a good teacher. And on top of that, are a good listener so that they give you the right advice. If you're holding back from working with someone like that, my question for you is, well, what if a year from now you're still where you are today? How would that make you feel? And my guess is not good.
Yeah, well said, well said. And on that note as well, let's dive a bit deeper. I mean, you have achieved all of these different transformations, right? How is that benefiting you in your day-to-day right now?
Well, my partner can't wait to rip my clothes off every day. How about that?
Wow,
Um,
amazing.
yeah. Well, like honestly, man, like jokes aside, right? I get compliments. I get compliments from my partner saying like, wow, I can actually see the change in you. And I think she finds it attractive, not just because of the physical change, but what it means, right? You don't get that kind of change by just sitting around doing nothing. So it also shows her that, hey, I'm someone who is taking action. I'm someone who is doing what I said I would do, right? And the physical change is just a reflection of that, which by the way, guys, I also feel like you get more respect, right? Like it or not, we're living in the 3D plane and, size matters, all right? Not what I mean down there, but like when you take up space, you know what I'm saying, right? Size matters. And this is true actually in social settings, in business settings, when you like take up a bit more more space, subconsciously people just take you a bit more seriously. Now you don't have to be like super bulky, whatever frame you have, it's about optimizing that. So when people see you like that, and also when people see your physical body, like I noticed that people just subconsciously pay more attention to me. And that helps with your business, that helps with your social life, that helps with your romantic life, your dating life as well. I know it sounds superficial. I'm just being real. Does that mean if you have a great body, then everything gets resolved? No, but is it an important part of it? I believe so. I've been getting comments about that. Again, this is the thing about working for a lifestyle versus working for just a pure end result that Preston has helped me with the lifestyle, is that when I get compliments like that, I don't just feel proud of achieving the physique. I actually feel proud that I'm living this life. And it's a different sense of accomplishment that feels a lot more grounded. It feels a lot more sustainable. And that's another thing. Preston, actually, another thing he goes above and beyond is if you're someone who travels very frequently, I do travel quite a bit, right? Then he also he would care. Like, I don't know how else to say it. He would actually care about it. And he would be like, oh, okay, well, here's a few more tips when you're traveling to allow you to consistently work on your physical health. And someone who does that, you know that they're actually out to make your life better.
Thank you. Awesome, man. Thanks so much for this awesome sharing. And I'm just wondering, before we go, any last words for the people who are watching this video? Anything else you want to share with them?
I would say for anyone who is also an entrepreneur or business owner or someone who's really busy, right? Someone who's a high performer, just know that from my own experience and also a good amount of experience from my fellow high achieving friends, that investing in your physical fitness is a positive ROI investment. Because we usually think, oh, what if this money could go into my investment account? Or what if this time could be done for doing this just extra proposal or extra email that I'm writing? Know that if you had invested that into your health, you would come back and be extra productive, be extra clear, be extra creative. It actually adds to your productivity and the results you're trying to get faster. So I know it's counterintuitive, but it's true. And if you really study a lot of the top performing people in the world, a lot of them are going to tell you that their physical health is a productivity booster. And that's a consistent message. Alex Mosey, work on the health, right? Stephen from the Daily CEO
CEO.
podcast, same thing. He literally said it out loud in an interview that if he lost everything in his life, but he still has his physical health, he can make it all back. Also, that's a number one ingredient to success. So if you don't believe that investing in your physical health and investing in someone who knows that and knows how to bring you to your physical health goals is worthy, I urge you to reconsider that.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for your awesome sharing. And I'm super proud of you for all that we've achieved together and more excited about what we're going to achieve further on as well.
Thank you. Me too. Me too. And I'm just sharing the truth, my friend.